What is up, Whale family? And this is Nytmare bringing you Hang Time, where we talk NBA Top Shot, the market, fantasy basketball, and all things hoops and hype. Very interesting week we had over the past week. So let's get right into it. In NBA news, we have about 1 month left of the regular season. I think the last game is May 16th. And that means that, what is up, Whale family? This is Nytmare bringing you Hang Time, where we talk NBA Top Shot, the market, fantasy basketball, and all things hoops and hype. Very interesting week we just had over the past week. I just had to restart this because I think I jumped the gun a little early. Too psyched to talk basketball. But with 1 month left in the regular season for the NBA, I believe the last game is May 16th. That means a lot of the star players and a lot of the key players that are in our fantasy basketball league as kind of regular picks for the week actually got some rest. They have some nagging injuries that they're trying to make sure get into the best shape possible for the playoffs. So that means it's a little bit of roll of the dice. And we'll see when we take a look at the results here, the net effect that has. But I would expect that to continue as teams gear up to head into the end of the season and the play-in tournament. Because as you know, in this format, the top 6 teams in each conference automatically make it into the playoffs, and then teams 7 through 10 will have kind of a play-in tournament. Depending on where you're seated, you may have 2 opportunities to make the final playoff seeding, and teams that lose can fall into the lottery. So interesting setup that we have in this anomaly of a season. It kind of reminds me of my CYC basketball days in middle school or something, right? Where you had those 2 opportunity playoffs to get in. Personally, I'm looking forward to a potential Heat Celtics series in the playoffs, as if my Celtics can even make it, because they are struggling right now. I think 25 and 25. So they need to get their act together. But again, injuries and, rest for nagging, wear and tear on some of the star players are definitely going to play a role as we move forward into the fantasy basketball season for the rest of the year. So on to NBA Top Shot. What happened over the past week? Man, a bunch of things. I think the thing I was most excited about, and I threw this up on my Twitter, we saw that they announced another round of funding and investment that went into Dapper Labs, and Michael Jordan was among the investors, along with several other players and large business folk. But we've always talked about the possibilities if there was a run it back moment with MJ, right? Or some kind of legendary, and that would absolutely blow the roof off of this thing with people that were interested in trying to get in. So it's certainly possible with him having a stake in Dapper and in the success of NBA Top Shot. So that was pretty exciting. And then it also confirmed that Kevin Durant, who was long rumored to have been an early investor from the NBA, was also part of that group. So exciting stuff on that front. And then, this got a lot of mainstream media attention. And again, we talk every week about how NBA Top Shot is going to be top of tongue for people. Exposure is exposure. And, if Dapper can get into a position where they can onboard people as a lot of this exposure happens and the marketing picks up, that's going to be great for everybody, because the market then has new entrants that want to buy cards and everything else that goes with that. So we could talk more about the market in a little bit, but this definitely got me pretty excited to see that he was confirmed as an investor. And then, speaking of the market, continues to slide, unfortunately. And, some people have talked about seeing some bounces depending on their particular cards that they're looking at. It really varies on what you hold and then the rarity of your account. If you look here, the Whale Vault is still sitting at $55 million. And again, this is on Moment Ranks, which is a site that we like to look at because it takes into account more things than just the lowest sale, lowest ask. This takes into account, the specialty of jersey numbers being the same number as the moment number, if you have a lower serial, etc. Versus if we look at evaluate market, we can see that certainly the value here is lower than it ever has been in the past month or so, at approximately $40 million. But interestingly here on Moment Ranks, where they do account for the different wild cards, I'll call them, that affect total value, the whale vault exceeds the NBA Top Shot account. So interesting to see that here. And we can talk about the market for just a little bit. I see a comment in the chat, and someone had mentioned it. They feel like people in NBA Top Shot don't even watch the league, and things of that nature. It's quite possible. There's a lot of people that, just like with NFTs, had seen the excitement and seen kind of the opportunity and decided to get in. The thing is, once people are in, you're going to convert some of those people. Some of them are going to stay in the market and remain collectors. And other ways, they're good for markets in that they increase investment, and in turn, the different things that can happen as possibilities. The money that Dapper could have to further enhance the product. It gives them better opportunity to stress test things. As you know, we've been through a ton of them. Some of them have been pretty frustrating, but it looks like they're getting a lot better at a lot of these processes. And so, with this influx of people and with the market that had gone up, and if some people were speculative investors and getting out, that's okay. That means that we'll be left with a lot of people that are, maybe more into the NBA or more interested in long-term collecting, which is going to be beneficial for everyone. But we want to continue to have people that want to get involved for different reasons and convert them, because that's good for everybody at the end of the day. So I think it's a net positive. Whether or not we're rebounding or not at this point, that's up to you. It might be an opportunity for me to grab that 3 badge Peyton Pritchard card for the Celtics and grab one of the rookies that will have all of the badges released. Who knows? Maybe you had your eyes on something. So if so, maybe now's a good opportunity to try to go after it. Of course, this is if you're collecting. If you're speculating and want to flip, maybe it is too. I don't really play that game here, so I'm not sure, but I'm sure there's opportunities everywhere. Another really cool thing was we saw the Mike Conley Seeing Stars Challenge reward distributed with audio included, and no one knew that this was coming as far as the general population is concerned. So this is pretty cool that they're further enhancing it and putting some additional elements into it, and it makes you think that there's opportunity for them to continue to do more stuff. They probably have whiteboarded other things that are coming that we just don't know yet, between the gamification of these moments when they put it in Hard Court, which is the mobile game that they're working on. And who knows, there could be ties into NBA properties, NBA Live or something of that nature. And that, again, spreads and brings us to a whole new audience. Let's take a listen to what they were able to do. This is pretty cool.
Congratulations for acquiring my Seeing Stars moment. This moment, originally I was just thinking, once I got the ball, to shoot it at the top of the key, shoot the 3. Once I saw the defender, kind of closing that gap, closing that space, I was trying to think of a way to get down into the paint, get downhill, and the only way I could really get there was to do a spin move and push the ball to my right hand. And once I was able to get around him, obviously the floor was opened up, and it was an easy read between whether throwing a lob to Rudy or finishing myself, whether it's a floater or a mid-range jump shot. So made the right read. I think anybody would be willing to throw it up to a 7-footer for a dunk any day of the week. So made my job really easy at that point. What it means to finally make it to an All-Star game after 14 seasons, man, it's truly a great accomplishment, honestly, just because I've worked so hard, over the years, and that door has been kind of shut on me so many times, and to finally be able to accomplish it, with such a great team and such a great year that we're having, it just added to how special everything's been for us this season. So just truly grateful, honored to be, an all-star, and that label will always be a part of the legacy now. Congratulations for acquiring my Seeing Stars moment. This moment, originally I was.
So very cool. Like some people are saying in the chat right now, there's a lot of cool stuff that we could look forward to if they continue to incorporate that more with some different players. I can imagine some smack talk after a sick play or something that's, a little bit more controversial, and so that they could push the envelope. There's a lot of opportunity that could come out of that and incorporating these different elements. So cool to see. And our friends over at the First Mint, I think, alluded to the fact that they think Greg, or rather Mike. It's funny I said Greg because every time I see Mike Conley, I think of Greg Oden. But they think Mike's team had reached out to Top Shot actually to participate in that. So again, the interest from the player base and the interest from the mainstream in Top Shot is definitely super cool. And speaking of the Rising Stars Challenge, or speaking of challenges, the Rising Stars Challenge 2 has ended. Those Zions have been put out into the wild. So I'm sure we'll be seeing more of those pop up on the marketplace. What else happened this past week? Oh, yeah. An NFL executive, I think their vice president of social media, had come over to Dapper to work on NBA Top Shot. So again, that's huge, not only from the expertise perspective, but the NFL is so plugged in as far as exposure goes, as far as leveraging platforms and being able to really, own the media for the sports market, at least in North America. So I think that's not their only NFL tie-in. I think Candy or Rude Moose on our server had mentioned that there's other people with ties to the NFL there as well. So I expect them to do a great job with marketing and really hammer this thing home once they are all systems go and work out all of the kinks that they have been working on here in the beta, because we are still in beta, guys. We are still in beta. And so they had mentioned that withdrawals continue to increase. I think now we're at over 42,000 people that have access to withdrawals. So I know that was an early concern with a lot of people not being able to get out of the marketplace. And some people have speculated that maybe that's why the market was partially as active as it was, because people were sitting on the money and just, instead of taking it out, decided to continue to try to flip and try to flip that forward and get even more out of their initial returns that they got. So who knows, maybe that's a part of it, but it's good to see that things are becoming more accessible, more liquid for people that have that concern. And of course, Thursday, there was an unexpected dual stress test. So some people grabbed some common packs there. That was cool to see that one off relatively easily without a hitch. And then I think someone had asked, the pre-orders are supposed to begin delivering as of tomorrow. Originally, they were promised on the 7th, and I think they had come out afterwards and said that it could take up to 2 weeks from the 7th. So I don't know what all of the logistics entail for delivering, but some people may receive them tomorrow. Some it may take a bit longer, but delivery should start tomorrow. So on NBA Top Shot front, a lot of cool stuff happening. What did that mean for our Swish Fantasy League? First of all, we talked about the injuries over the past week. As you can see here, we had seen the same people for the most part really dominating and really making their presence known, banging elbows in the paint. And here we have a whole new squad for the most part, right? We have a lot of new faces showing up in the top 10. So congratulations to everybody that had the foresight or, just had the at the moment made the right picks and were able to land in the top 10 here for our Whale Fantasy League. So secure the dub. Props to you. Cavs, the block fan, Alpal, the whole squad here, Evantan, Dizo Mary, Dark Blue Chain. Guys, I've never shouted your name before. Props. I hope you stay up here. B2RU, Dragon, Ticket, Swift 248, and Skittles 37. I want to see you guys continue to mix it up here in the top 10. And you know what? I think that you will, being that we never know each week really who's going to be sat for rest. So a lot of things impacted this past week. Giannis, I believe, was taken out of a game for rest. Zion obviously had his injury between what was going on with Steph and a whole bunch of people. You can see the usage here is pretty mixed. Oftentimes we see this and there's kind of a clear pattern of who, the top people for the week were, and that's really not the case here. There's a decent spread. Props to you, Skittles, for throwing in Jaylen Brown. And Ryan Scott too, almost squeaked in there with the Tatum. So everyone knows I'm a C's mark. I'm a big C's fan here up in Boston. So props to you. And so two members of the community, of the Swish League community, actually have been doing some awesome analysis. Our own resident Hooper dude has been doing some cool stuff for us weekly and has even stepped it up another level this week. Here's a look at the scoring leaders within each category. So these are the people that would have made the largest contributions to you winning. And of course, he denotes with an asterisk when there is a player that's in that category that there is actually no moment for. So for 2-point field goals, we have 3 people that are continuously, used in this category. And obviously that would have been, Zion, Giannis. I keep saying Giannis and people keep correcting me. I have a couple of coworkers, Gianna is one of them, and I talk to them all the time. So Giannis, if you hear this, my apologies. But usually, along with Joker, those guys are always in rotation for the 2-point play. That's not the case. You look at Kyrie lighting it up over the past few days, DeMar DeRozan. You could have put a lot of different players up here and scored very well in the 2-point field goals. And that's players that aren't typically picked. For the 3-point field goals, similar here, usually people are going with Lillard or, they're going with Steph. Obviously the schedule plays a role, but take a look at this. It was really an opportunity for you to experiment with your lineup and do well. And that's why we have some new people that have shown their prowess and crept into the winner's circle this week. For assists, Westbrook continues to kill it. Chris Paul is a distant fourth. No one's even near Russ. So, that was the clear pick for this particular week. And then blocks and steals continues to be a tough category to get a good moment in. Rudy's a mainstay, and hopefully those Miles Turners get into my pocket, into my moments when I open a pack and I can throw up a block up there because he is part of the new common drop, I believe someone had told me when they showed me the spreadsheet. So that'll be really cool to be able to roll them out. And of course, Nerlens Noel is in there as well. So Hooper Dude took this a step further and shared with us the actual percent usage of the players within the top 20 finishers in the league. So this is next level stats, super cool. Giannis was on everybody's lineup for the most part at the top of 2-point field goals, followed by, a decent spread, decent mix with people knowing what was going on with Zion. And, for 3-point field goals, Steph was up there, Lillard, some of the mainstays. But interestingly, Duncan Robinson was the second most chosen of the top finishers. And for assists, I think this is in large part a byproduct of the schedule. Chris Paul was in half of the top 20 finishers. People didn't anticipate some of the people that sat. And then Nerlens Noel is in 65% of the lineups. And really, I think that's a byproduct of 2 things. There's not a lot of block steal cards that are decent. There's a lot of players that are in that category that don't even have a moment. And also Rudy's, not the cheapest card. You can snag a Nerlens Noel and not really break your own personal salary cap. But, Rudy, if you're just getting started, may be one that's a little bit of a reach. So I can understand, why that would be represented that way for this particular week. And then also, Nonstop Theo had linked someone that did further analysis. This is Crash Bandicris from Twitter. Go ahead and give him a follow if he's going to continue to share some awesome analysis like this. But this was overall for the total Swish League. So this is people, a larger sampling size of what people are rolling out. And you can see that, Zion was also used pretty frequently there in that league, but like we had mentioned, Giannis, Zion, and Joker at the top, followed by Luka there. If you go to the 3-point category, Fred VanVleet was actually the second use, but 1/4 of the amount of people that trotted out Damian Lillard, which Dame can either light it up for you or he can go cold, and it really ends up hurting your lineup. But that being said, the quantity that he throws up makes me feel comfortable with it. And then for the handles and assists category, Chris Paul was actually used in only about 20% of the people. So it was a decent spread of what people had used in this larger sampling size. And then if you take a look at the blocks steals card, it's similar to what we had looked at within just our league. Nerlens is at the top, likely a byproduct of his affordability. But in here, there's a little bit of a shakeup when you come down. Rudy's actually in third place. So interesting to see these stats. And with these stats in mind, Theo actually threw out an interesting question. After seeing this insight, would you guys be interested in some kind of percentage bonus, rather some kind of a wild card that lets you get a multiplier or bonus points for using cards that are lower usage rate? What are you guys' thoughts on that? And we have an opportunity here to kind of talk about it. I'm kind of mixed on how I feel about it, because I think some people may have tried to make purchases specifically for the purpose of the league. So are we kind of undermining what they did? But that being said, if people are recently gotten into Top Shot, they may not have an opportunity to grab some of those really top tier cards that could really, not everyone can grab a Harden assist, right? Not everyone can grab a Steph 3. So this may be a cool thing to see if it helps level the playing field a little bit and allow for some creativity. So I'm still on the fence on how I feel about it. If you guys have any opinions, let us know in the comments to his Twitter post here, or also right now in the chat. We can talk about it live. I'd like to maybe try it as an experiment. And just at least for 1 week. I mean, we're only talking about 5 or 6 weeks left in the regular season. I'd like to try it as an experiment and see how it impacts, and maybe it's super fun and everybody's loving how the things turn out. I do like the ability to level the playing field a little bit for people that maybe not have gotten into it early and don't have the money to invest in some of these really premium cards right now. I think that's cool that anybody would have an opportunity. But again, let me know what you guys think in the comments on the Twitter post, or right now in the chat and the stream text. Belay asks, is right now the best time to buy cards? It's a great time. Certainly costs have come way down depending on the specific card you're looking for. But for utility cards, meaning just players that you're going to use in fantasy basketball, it's definitely more opportunistic than other times. I way overpaid for my Zion near the beginning of the league just because I thought I needed him to be able to, keep up with you guys. And, I think I paid something like $500 for that moment. Now, granted, it was all with profit from opening packs and being able to flip the cards that I gotten, whether it was the gift or some of the cool cats that just plummeted after the challenge was over, quite honestly. So, I'm not upset about it. It was all with profit. So my account's a net profit overall. But, I think for a utility card, it's a great time to snag something as long as you're comfortable buying it. And just like with NFTs, if you're buying an NFT or collectible because you genuinely want it for a purpose other than just trying to make some financial gain, then you can feel comfortable with doing it, even if the value, fluctuates a little bit. So, if your purpose is you like the card, or you like the player, or you're interested in having it for fantasy basketball or for future seasons, and I think Theo's working on another platform, then by all means, look for these dips, look for an opportunity to get in on the cards that you want. Someone asked, they were lucky enough to catch a James Harden shooting star. Do I think the value will go up if he wins the chip and MVP? I think there's a lot already built into Harden. I mean, he's a league defining, basically defined the offensive game of the NBA right now, right? So I think his value is already there, but there will always be hype at the time of awards. To make a crypto analogy, quite honestly, I think the hype would be leading into the award announcement more so than afterwards, but we're in uncharted waters here, right? You'd have to look at the correlation to maybe regular paper sports cards collectibles and see what happens pre and post announcement when there's like a clear cut front runner, and see what would happen. But I think there would be an opportunity for sure. We actually talked about the MVP race a little bit during office hours this past week on Saturday, and And I threw out that I think Joker is in the front running, and I think the Vegas odds makers have him as well. He's just been carrying them from all kinds of statistical categories. So I think Harden has a great chance, but I think Joker, is gunning for his neck if he's not already in the front. Taking a look at some more of the questions from you guys. Tigbo says he likes the bonus idea for the bonus percentage, some kind of point differential that you can get for using less used players. That's a vote to the positive. Again, I said I think it's something that would be cool to at least experiment with and see what happens. Someone said that Say When Crypto says he's so saddled with value in his moments that he has to hold it, so he's rooting for it. I hear you, Say When. There's a lot of people that are, a little frustrated with the market, but there's market cycles, right? And maybe this will mirror what happens in crypto, where there's an influx and a run up, and then it settles to a new baseline. And even though we're at this dip, we're still higher than we were when, we were just 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 users. And we're talking about 300,000 users, 400,000 users at last count, where they had a metric to be able to talk about accounts trying to grab a pack. That's minuscule compared to just the fandom of the NBA, let alone the total populace, right? I've always made the analogy about my friends who ask me about it and they want to get in, but to them it's like, whoa, how much is it for a pack? It was $100 for whatever special rare was being sold that weekend. And other times they had tried to sign up and signups were shut down because the pack drop was imminent, which of course is the reason why they were interested, right? They heard that they could grab packs. So when more people can be onboarded, we'll see what happens in this market. But that being said, guys, we can't have it so they can't grab packs, and their only opportunity to get in is to buy, bench players for $30, $40. The market has to settle somewhere reasonable for them, and I'm sure there'll be another thing that triggers another run up, another influx of interest, whether it's that MJ moment, whether it's a very cool run it back, or whether it's the release of the mobile game. I bet you these guys have stuff that we have not even seen yet that's going to come out soon. And someone asked, I'm sorry if this was covered. Does anyone know when the next pack drop will be? I do not know. I'm not certain if anyone does at this point. They do say that they'd like to give us at least 8 hours. So, their Discord is great. They'll put in an announcement, and that announcement channel in the Top Shot Discord usually gets it before other people, whether it's people on Twitter or whether it's some of these alert Discord channels. As long as you stay abreast of what's going on in there, you're usually in the know and able to snag them. I do believe they said we'll see another at least rare pack this month. And there was some different talks on what exactly that would be, right? One thing that was a bit controversial this past week is that they talked about some kind of gatekeeping for the rare packs. Do you need to have, collected a challenge and gotten a challenge reward? I'm not certain. They said that they want to reward that are people that are true collectors. And so what do you guys feel about that? Any feelings on what could possibly be a gate to people to be able to get into rares and be able to get those higher value, higher tiered cards? With the intention they have is to stop flippers, right? They don't want people that are purely flippers getting in. They want to put it to people that are genuine fans of the NBA and of the platform. And I'm not really sure how I feel about it, quite honestly. I have mixed emotions myself because I'm not a big challenge collector. It's just not something I'm interested in. I like to buy cards of players I like and of players I think I can use in fantasy basketball. I'm not really into trying to gather moments of players that I'm not going to use and don't particularly care for just so I could get, that next level card. But some people are. But that being said, should people like me, and I'm certainly a genuine user who cares about the product and cares about the NBA, should I be gated from being able to get it? I'm sure some of you are going to say, yes, you should, Nytmare. But I mean, in general, people that are like that, should they be prevented from getting a rare? I don't know. Now, again, this is speculation. We have no idea what the actual gating would be. It could be that you've just bought X number of moments or X number of packs. We'll see. But hopefully it's something that's inclusive. And like we've been talking about, we want more people to get involved, and not yet. Gator says, complete a challenge or a set. Hey, man, I don't like the peer pressure, okay? I like to play the way I like to play. Imaginary Income is talking about lock in a holding period versus shutting out new collectors. Interesting. The different people are in different financial situations. So, liquidity is definitely an issue. I think it's possible, but they'd have to let people know ahead of time when that would be occurring, so people can make their decision on what they're going to do with their cards and their moment and their money long before that. And of course, if that's going to be the case, they need to have fluid accessibility to withdrawals. Someone mentioned how long a user has been on the platform, in which case all the beta users are going to crush everyone else, right? They've been there for a long time. Yep, I got you, Gator. That's what we were talking about, the requirements for rare drops, such as the rare one we're anticipating coming this month in April. We'll see. But you're right. We definitely have to let people like my buddy, who, by the way, he's still trying to get in. I don't know if he just sucks with his timing or what, but the guy is super interested in box breaks. He makes all these ridiculous Facebook groups that I have to keep denying. Everything from sports card collectibles to Pokemon. He's just addicted to the process. Like, he's always flipping and sending these like gifted cards to friends and people just because he likes it. He's not even trying to make money so much. He just really enjoys the process. And that's the kind of person that we want in here, right? We want more of those folks in this ecosystem to hold, to let things appreciate in value, and not just the flippers that are chasing the dollar signs. Finesse the World is asking me, what do I think about the controversy about NFT wafers in the OG pack? I have no idea what you're talking about. If you could link me, I'll have to study up and talk about it next time more. And Gian is talking about the amount of time it would take to withdraw $1 million, in that you can only withdraw 1K per day. Dude, no one has an account like you with $1 million here, except for the exception of 1 or 2 people that I know. Okay, so I don't think that's a big issue. That was actually my buddy who's been trying to get on NBA Top Shot, calling my phone right now. That's hilarious. As if I'm going to put him on. Maybe next time we'll get him on the stream. All right, guys, with that, I'm going to take it as my opportunity to wrap things up. If you have more questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. If I see them, I will get to them. Looking at the next week, schedule looks pretty good for most people, having, at least 4 games, with the exception of a couple of players. A lot of the mainstay players that we roll out do have 4 games. If you happen to have someone that you like on Detroit, they have 5 games running this week. And if you do, please let us know who it is, because I have no idea who would be a decent person to roll out. I forget the name of the person that's leading them and scoring right now, but the guy is not the best percentage shooter, so I would be quite nervous rolling him out there. But Detroit does have 5 games this particular week. And as it comes to leaders, Kyrie has been screaming lately with his scoring and what he's being what he has been doing over in Brooklyn. So don't know if anyone threw up Kyrie for this particular week. Actually, let's take a look at Swish and see what the current week lineups are. Obviously, we are only 2 days in, so not a lot to glean from looking at this, but I see a lot of Devin Bookers up here. So we'll see if he makes a significant impact. And again, we got Russ, we got Dame, we got a lot of the typical players. I think Joker, with his schedule, is definitely going to make his presence felt this particular week. One thing I will mention is with the dip, I said, why don't I grab a De'Aaron Fox? He's been someone that's, besides one bad game this past week, has been actually dominating offensively, right? So Sacramento, has a schedule that's decent for the rest of the year, that might be someone I scoop to throw into my 2-point plays. We will see. But again, looking forward to an interesting week as far as mixing up the top 10. I will leave you guys with this. Please let us know what you feel about the percentage. If you think it's something that we should add to gamify the Swish League and the results. And we will maybe put something like that into play in the near future if Theo can find a way to make his magic happen, or possibly the playoffs, right? I don't know what Theo has planned for us, but let's try to have him stick around and get some fun going for the playoffs. Maybe there's a way we can leverage Swish. So with that, I will see you guys next week. Have a great week, and I will talk to you then.